week about Ohio State. Actually, we've been talking all year about Ohio State, but Ohio State has just so many people on the roster that it almost didn't matter how many games that they played. That as long as they were undefeated, they were going to be in the top 10.
Eye test. Eye test. I'm blind in both eyes, but I can tell you, man, I hate the eye test. I hate, perhaps it's because I think of myself as a group of 5 school. Mm-hmm. Like eye test. I'm beating everybody they put in front of me. Eye test. Like, how does USC feel? Because nobody's going to award them a national championship. Like, none of the selectors are going to put USC at the top of any ranking. And yet they could finish undefeated, 6-0, with a conference championship, go to the Fiesta Bowl, get a W. Where do you put them?
It's the year of the asterisk. Like that's what I've been saying. It's like, hey, what happened that year? Yeah, asterisk, dog. You do whatever you want. I don't care. We'll see. Class out. We'll see everybody in 2021.
We could do this every year though, right?
Yes.
And that's why I hate it. That's why I hate saying this is the year of the asterisk, because we could do that every year, every single year. Like Central Florida, asterisk. They didn't play a tough schedule. They didn't? Are you serious? They didn't beat nobody. They beat a top 10 Auburn in the Peach Bowl. Come from behind and do it. Yeah, well, Auburn lost to Bama, so, and Bama won the national championship. Yes, Bama is the consensus college football national championship, or national champion. But until y'all want to put together a system where Central Florida has to play Alabama. And then they get mad at me because I'm like, no, I recognize more than one national champion because they didn't lose. What are we doing here? Like, what are we doing here?
You can't have more than one national champion, though. That's a singular title.
The NCAA
is like co-champions?
is all but inciting it by saying we don't pick the FBS national champion, and we are not going to force the Power 5 conferences to institute a playoff that would allow for just one national champion. What we will do is give you these 11 selectors who will tell you what they think is, and then you can, claim it from there if that's what you want to do. And then the Power 5 are like, yo, we have the most money. We think we should put together what the college football national championship looks like. And NCAA is like, cool, do what you want to do. And ESPN and Fox and CBS all like, so, y'all want to put this on TV? How y'all think about, what y'all, 3 games? TV? What you think? Hey, we need you to have a conference championship. Why? Because you're trying to get us to figure out a definitive champion of our conference? Nah. Put that on TV, baby. Put that on TV. What you think? And it ain't like they were doing this like in the 21st century. This was happening in the 60s, in the 70s, and the 80s. It happened when OU sued the NCAA going, how dare you prevent us from playing on television more than twice a year? Are you kidding? We are the University of Oklahoma. Because of y'all, we went and won a national championship in a year that nobody got to see us on television. Are you kidding? You had Joe Paterno in 69 talking about, wait a second, did I just hear President Nixon say he's going to award the national champion to whoever wins Texas, Arkansas? Oh, what? Yeah, so what had happened was, Nixon trying to win the presidency again, and it was real slim in that Texas area, George Wallace was really gaining on him. So we were thinking if he came up with this plaque that we could present to the winner, they number 1, number 2. He didn't make the rankings. They made the rankings. He could give him the plaque. Yo, we have won 29 straight games. We are undefeated up here in Penn State. What do you mean they get to be, one of them get to be the national champ? Hey, man, look, I tell you what, let me go talk to Tricky Dick. Get back to you. So, Tricky Dick, we got a problem here, man. We got a problem because, I know we want to win these votes down there in Texas and Arkansas, but we got to have Pennsylvania too, baby. Like, it's going to get tight. So, I'm going to tell you what. How about this? How about if Penn State wins their bowl game, we give them a plaque that says, congratulations on having the nation's longest winning streak. What you think? Yeah, send that back to them. Let them know how to, yeah. It's like the same thing. It's like being a national champion. Same thing. And Joe Paterno over here flipping the tables as Penn State goes 11-0 and finishes number 2 in the final AP poll. And guess who Tricky Dick awarded the plaque to? in the Texas-Arkansas game.
Who?
Texas, for which we get to say 1969 Texas, not only national champ, but the last all-white team to win a national championship. And when you figure out that Richard Nixon was trying to beat out George Wallace, the world makes even more sense. This is why I keep saying college football is an unserious sport, but I love it so much. It's so fun because we get to have those stories. We get to have those discussions. We get stuff like Woody Hayes not crossing the 50-yard line for 10 friggin' years to shake Bo Schembechler's hand. We get the 10-year war because Michigan had the audacity to knock off Ohio State in a year where they thought that they were going to win the national championship in 1969. Remember all these things coming together in 69. You have the birth of the super conferences because Joe Paterno was way out front going, hey, you know what? We should actually put together something like a playoff, but not a playoff, but like put all the good teams together and then decide amongst ourselves who gets the television revenue and then decide amongst ourselves who gets to win the championship because there's a lot of dough to be made. Joe Paterno is also the dude that walked out of like a press junket where they were advertising all these college football games going to be on television because he found out that they weren't going to play Penn State games in the city of New York, like in New York City. He said, to hell with this, I'm going home. Y'all want to keep me, I got to recruit over there. You know, and that's why one of the reasons why Notre Dame keeps saying, yo, dog, we don't want to be a part of a conference. We'll do it this year, but we're not going to do it the other years. Why not? Because you know how much money we make barnstorming as Notre Dame? Are you crazy? Do you know what kind of loot we bring in by playing games in Texas, LA, Pennsylvania, New York, California? Are you kidding?
We're a party everywhere we show up.
Right. We got all these people that didn't go to Notre Dame that can't wait to cut us a check. What you think we used to make money at this private Catholic university, sir? This man over here thinks we ought to join a conference. This man over here wants to take money out of our pocket. Somebody get this dude up out of here. You know? Meanwhile, the ACC is going through a regime change because Doc, let me see, not Doc. I'm going to get to Doc's comment here in just a second. That's why we came up. But going through a regime change because Jack Swafford is stepping down. They went and got the Northwestern athletic director to take over that job. So they about to have a bunch of purple ties in there. Meanwhile, the Big Ten is going to be like, oh, word? Okay, cool. Let me see. Doc Wentz, no boogie in here. I'd like to know, how could the president know so little about Watergate in 1973 and so much about college football in 1969? Man, that's a money quote.
America, dog.
That's a money quote. My God. Yes, that's what I'm talking about. This is why I love this sport right here, because stuff like that exists. We got the head coach of college, got the head coach of Penn State calling out the president on Watergate and the 1969 national championship in the same sentence.